into the NFL rules and processes whenever it comes to injuries being reported department. Ty Schmidt has a question for you.
Yeah, Shefty, we saw Joe Burrow wearing what looked to be like a bowling wrist guard before the Bengals' last game, and then, the Bengals quickly, they took that down, or, it got scrubbed from the internet pretty much. He goes and plays, and then non-contact, obviously, gets lost for the season. Do we have any update on the NFL investigation there? Do you know, was it much worse than anyone anticipated? I assume it had to have been if something like that caused him to be out for the rest of the year. Kind of where do we stand right now with the whole Joe Burrow Bengals situation?
Well, first of all, these things usually take weeks, multiple weeks, not instantaneously. If we go back to earlier this season where the Falcons didn't put Bijan Robinson on the injury report, and all the people who roster him in fantasy football flipped out the next day when he didn't play, and they said he had a headache, and he said he was feeling that way the night before. It didn't show up, and then the next week the Chiefs put Patrick Mahomes on the injury report that Sunday morning. Illness. Just because teams know how important not only all these players are to their teams, their cities, but to the fantasy football and gambling worlds. And so the Bijan Robinson investigation is still ongoing. With Joe Burrow, what will happen is the league will go back. They'll talk to Bengals officials about why he wasn't on the report, what their explanation was. Joe Burrow said that he was wearing a compression sleeve on his thumb. It had nothing to do with his injury. And yet in the game, he threw a pass early on, went down, and looked like he was in great pain or discomfort. Now, it's possible he took a hit in the game that contributed to that. But what the league can do is it can just go request the videos of those practices. Was he a full participant? Did he have any sort of limitations? The practices are on video. They're there to see. The league will, I would imagine, request the footage of those practices and get an idea of whether he was or wasn't hurt. Joe Burrow says it was a compression sleeve. Okay, fine. Let's see what those show. And then you do these interviews and make a determination about whether or not there was a fine. Now, the last time there was a team that received a major fine for violating the injury report was back in, I think it was 2019. The league fined Mike Tomlin $25,000 and the Steelers $75,000 because they violated the injury report, didn't put Ben Roethlisberger down. That was 4 years ago.
Well,
that was pre-gambling policies.
Of course, Pittsburgh.
If there were a team, the Falcons, the Bengals, anybody else that was found in violation, I think that those penalties would be made to seem small compared to what the league would issue today. But let's see what turns up. The Bengals say they did nothing wrong, and there are other people who believe they did. And sort of up to the league to determine what's right and wrong.
The videos of practice, how long has that been happening? Because we learned about it during COVID, I think, right? They were pulling them during COVID to see who was near who was doing what. That's when we as a public started knowing that. I don't think I knew about this whenever I was playing in the league, that all the practices are being recorded and the NFL can just kind of pull that.
Pat, practices, meetings, everything is recorded. Everything.
No, not meetings.
Meetings?
Meetings are recorded.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Invasion of privacy.
Man, what have I said about who?
Players only meetings
are recorded.
Players only meetings that ain't players only.
No.
Boys, stop with the players only meetings.
Breaking.
Go to a restaurant. They're just listening in the other room. Listen to this.
I've got footage of Darius's meetings that he wouldn't believe right now.
What?
Whoa.
There's some sort of HIPAA violation in there.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, he was good in those meetings.
They told me what you see here and here stays here.
Hear, see, and say here stays here. That's a lie. There's somebody seeing everything we do. Wow. It ain't here. Holy
I'm not
hell.
telling you every meeting's being recorded, but when they're in the big auditorium.
Well,
what about in the equipment room? I like to vent down there in the equipment room. You think they definitely got mics in there. You talk to some guys and they just point up to the sky.
Careful.
Who is it? You're an asshole. You know what I mean? That's amazing. That's good to hear. Because that's an easy thing to figure out then with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
You'll be easy to see.
They're all walkthroughs though in the short week, Thursday night football.
Oh,
so the team kind of has to say like, okay, if it was a real practice, would he be limited? Would he be full? Would he be whatever?
Well, then they can just look at like what last week was or the week before. They can really do full.
Yeah, he got hurt the Sunday before the Thursday night football game, right?
Well, Chris Long put out that video that day.
He hit that
said
helmet.
he was hurt in the second play. He's grabbing his thumb, and I think that's where some of these questions came from, right? That he put out this video saying, "Oh, look, Joe Burrow's hurt," and then all of a sudden he gets off the plane with that thing on his thumb, and it's not there anymore. The video, they take it down, and then he goes in the game. So, again, that's where some of the suspicions and questions are coming from. And that's up to the league to look into and figure out what's right or not.
They will. They'll look into it if there's money to be taken. More money fined this year than any years in the past. We hope Joe Burrow figures it out. We hope he's okay. We were very optimistic. We were lying for him. We're like, maybe it's fashion. Maybe they're bowling.
Right.
Who knows what they're doing? And then you see him on that sideline. It's like, oh, something's up here. Feels like this is a problem. The NFL is going to miss him. They signed Drew Plitt. Drew Plitt out of Ball State.
Oh, okay.
Bengals signed Drew Plitt.
Go on, Plitt.
6'2" guy can spin it out of Ball State.
So you guys got to be pissed at the Bengals for hiding the injury too, then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, buddy.
You have no idea.
You don't think? Yeah.
Are we worried about Joe Burrow long term? I mean, this is a lot of injuries.
Florio said he's going to be indicted by the Supreme Court.
Him or the Bengals?
10 to 15 years.
Guantanamo Bay.
Tony.
I think that's what Florio said.
Took it that far, really?
I think they closed Guantanamo, maybe, but he's going somewhere.
I did see grand jury.
I read that too.
I think I read grand jury.
Yeah, really.
Florio's been in his fucking bag.
He has been.
He has been phenomenal. He has been phenomenal. When he was talking
saying, is that egregious? Like that egregious of a penalty that they would get?
Yeah, because you're hiding, especially with people gambling now. You know, the way people are gambling money and how much money's being gambled. I think Portnoy's filing a class action lawsuit against the NFL for not telling him about the Joe Burrow injury. Yeah, it is. This is going to be a thing. This is going to be a thing.